Hey guys, this is Autumn Productions, aka Nana4673, and I'm back in Autumn's Journey Part 2. Let's continue. Disgruntled lay down on his side and experimented with a few positions before resting his head in satisfaction. At first he refused to use the blanket, but as the temperature dropped, he discreetly pulled it towards him when he thought I wouldn't notice. Probably to hide his expression, he rolled over so his back was to me and the campfire. I had the feeling the initial shock took a lot out of him, and I admittedly hadn't helped when he ruffled my feathers more than once. Now that he was sleeping, though, any irritation I still felt spared along with the summer heat. I would need to be mentally and physically prepared for tomorrow. Stay cool and collected, thought. I poked the fire and stayed on my watch until the exhaustion bit something me into resting my eyes for just a few minutes. No, just not a few minutes. Hey. Oh please, I've had less sleep than you and I'm already energized and ready to go. Pouting, I poked Kerr some more with the walking stick I had fashioned for him. It hadn't been easy to find such a sturdy stick in a big black forest, but I had located a long one that would suffice. I'd spent the morning carving off any bark that had even indented the top to make it easier to grip. Now it was my dragon bird. Up, arise, sacred dragon! Cut that out! Kerr hastily shut up and throwing off my blanket in a feeble attempt to hide the fact that he had used it. I decided to counter his usual scowl with the perkiest, most cheerful grin I could muster. Good morning! My something was genuine. For some reason it satisfied me to know that my something irked him. I could use my stunning disposition to my advantage. It'd be better than snapping at him at any rate. Stop poking me with that. Here's your walking stick. Here, you're welcome. I turned it sideways and offered him. He warily gazed at it as if I was presenting a cobra instead, but carefully grabbed it. Cautiously, he pressed the stick against the ground as he stood up. I remained close, lest he topple over like yesterday. His fingers drummed against the carved handle, and he looked at me quizzically. You spent time on this? Well, I wanted to finish it off with a pretty flower ribbon, but I had the feeling you wouldn't like it. Grumbling, Kerr took a step forward, leaning on the stick before hesitantly taking another. With each step he regained some confidence, and soon he was walking in a straight line, albeit with an uneven gait. He could not exactly break into a run or even brisk stride, but it was a huge improvement from last night. I estimated we could reach the cave leading to an altar by mid-afternoon. I quickly packed and followed him, since I had the feeling the only thing on his mind was that altar. It's this way. I pointed towards the gentle incline, and Kerr narrowed his eyes resentfully. Going downhill would probably be difficult for him. As we headed towards the destination, I kept my distance at first, but I gradually drew close to Kerr, one hand extended in anticipation of a stumble. Kerr balked and increased the distance between us, determined to progress on his own. However, his pace was very slow, and he was unwilling to start any small talk. As the slope gradually stiffened, his footing became more unsteady, and I worriedly grabbed his arm for support. What? He twirled around in surprise, and I actually did end up bracing him once he was stable again. I sighed. Look, I know you don't like me touching you, but if your priority is to get to that altar as soon as possible, I think you can swallow your dignity and accept my help. Besides, no one is around to see. You've done enough. I don't need any more help from you. He shifted his weight and started using the stick to ward me away. I frowned disapprovingly. Hey, if you try to hit me with that thing, I'll confiscate it. Shh. Even I wouldn't do something like that. Gritting his teeth, he leaned heavily against one of the batteries. When I get back, I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. Oh, My master. His curt answer stalled the torrent of questions piling up in my head. It would be poor of me to interrogate him when he was obviously overwhelmed by the situation. Right now the goal was more important. Then let's get you to that cave. He believed me. Everything I told you? Maybe you're just a very convincing actor, but I don't think an actor would drop his tirade after but I think even an actor would drop his tirade after a while. Just as I was about to reach him, a low grumble pierced the forest. I glanced at Kerr in amused bafflement. He averted his eyes. I could tell he was embarrassed. You know, if you're hungry, I'm not. Another complaint from his stomach. I think you'll be able to walk faster if you have something to eat. What do dragons eat anyway? Meddling heavenkind. I rolled my eyes. Well, you have a heavenkind stomach now, so I'll doubt it. Oh, shit. I'm sorry, someone came in and interrupted me. Well, you have a then a doubt will agree with a diet like that. But it does make sense that you wouldn't want to try the bread or the cheese at Doubt Dragon Fresh, Rye, or Run Daily Farms. It was then I remembered the apple tart. Even if Kerr found the pastry detestable, the fruit would probably be familiar to him. I urged him to sit down. When he refused, I simply made myself comfortable on the ground first. Here, this is the closest thing I have found. I have to something found in nature. I could forage, but it would take even longer. What is that? It's a pastry. My dad owns a bakery. You probably wouldn't understand that. It's basically a treat with apple filling and some apricot jam. Thankfully, my dad preferred showing off the natural ingredients. As a result, the top of the tart had thin slices of appetizing fruit covered with a lustrous yellow glaze. Cass sniffled it warily. It must have been agreeable enough since he soon accepted the pastry. You're welcome. As soon as he started nibbling on it, he must have realized how famished he was, because he quickly devoured the entire tart. I watched as he coughed slightly and wiped the crumbs off his mouth, but his expression was unreadable. So how was it? Anything tastes fine when you're starving? Oh, you just inhaled it so fast that you did actually taste it. Well, it should tide you over until we reach the altar. Kerr grabbed his stick and we resumed our trip. The extra sugar boost seemed to lift both the pace and his mood, although he stayed something. Okay. As we continued through the forest, I stopped and groaned when I spotted some dark trees. Those Eiffelban trees. I completely forgot. We should probably go around them. Eiffelban. He peered at the thick-nailed trunks. What, scared of the bark? It'll be quicker if we continue in a straight line. No, it's not about the trees. It's what lies in them. They make perfect nests for aviturals. The hell are those? Those giant bird things. I thought you would know them. I would if I understood your names. Why are you giving new names to everything anyway? We're dragons here, and we've already established. I raised my hands to silence him, not wanting to make any unnecessary noise. He scowled, but a shrill cry startled both of us. Then what do you call that? Usually food. That'll be us now. Perched on one of the lower branches, there was a reptilian bird with scales running down its front. The rest of its body was covered in earth-toned feathers. Though probably no taller than 4 feet, its extremely wide wingspan and sharp talons made it a fearsome animal to encounter in the wild. Aviturals raised young way into fall, so the mothers could be extraterrestrial at this time of year. The birds ruffled its plume, making itself seem larger than it was, and prepared to launch itself at us. I immediately stepped in front of Kerr, gripping my sword as I took a defensive stance. With Kerr's condition, an instant retreat wouldn't work. I'd have to guard him. What are you? You're not planning to fight it, are you? Do we have a Look out! I shoved Kerr off balance. Thanks to my quick reflexes, we narrowly avoided a slash from the Avitural's talons. The wind whipped at my hair as debris flew up around us. I scrambled to my feet and sprinted forward, hoping to keep the Avitural's attention away from Kerr. As he dove towards me, I slashed upward and veered away, dodging my It veered away, touching my counter. Kerr, I'll keep it busy while you can get away. You stupid, I'm not leaving you behind. Kerr, I need you to take me to that elder. Maybe if you shouted the directions of me, I could get there alone. I'm kinda busy here. I can't get all my bearings in the middle of a battle. My aggravation was intensive, and I needed to keep the avid Tyrell at bay. However, my training had never covered aerial attacks, and the bird's scaly front was like an armor. Are you holding back? It's just protecting its young. It's trying to kill you. You think I haven't noticed? Oh, the wings clip them. It won't hurt it, but it'll stop it from flying. Just clip the tips. I widened my stance as I prepared for another attack. At the last second, I leapt to the side, slicing an angle. I saw beautifully she had the avatar's thick primary feathers. The monster seared sweat into the ground, its shoulders and head bearing the brunt of the crash. Let out a cry, and I felt a split second of guilt. That vanished with a yelp as the bird tried to tear me down with its talons. Luckily, the Ethereal was designed for swooping down at a prey rather than running on the ground, so it could only hobble awkwardly. As it screeched and fully spread wings, I retreated gratefully that it was even slower than Kerr. I rode through the trees until it finally gave up on chasing me, then sighing in relief, I looked back and returned to Kerr, who was also at a safe distance. Looks like it gave up. What about its youngs? It'll be fine. The feathers will grow back and it can still hop to its nest. Its babies won't need to eat constantly at this stage anyway. Sure know a lot about them. Thanks for the suggestion. He snorted angrily. I already told you, they're food. Of course I'd know a lot about them. Soon as the forest was quite quiet once again, with the only sound of footsteps at the tap of Kerr's walking stick breaking the silence. He's kind of a jerk, I'm sorry for saying this. Surprisingly, he did not protest when I suggested a safer route, nor when I walked nearly shoulder to shoulder with him. I had the feeling that starting a regular conversation would push my luck, so I kept my mouth shut and instead hoped for no more setbacks. And we're here. This is it. Yeah, this is not a very deep cave. You simply take a turn and the altar is right there. That's it, no complex mazes, no shiny sacred magic lake with a guardian or anything. Hey, we did what we could. This is a modest altar. I took a deep breath and smiled pleasantly. Haven't been here in years. I came before to make the occasional offering around harvest season. I gave Kerr a cheerful look, but he continued forward, ignoring my recollections. Just leave him now, he's annoying. I shrugged and followed, quickly catching up to him. Kerr awkwardly knelt down before the altar, discarding the walking stick once he was comfortable. His eyes closed with a softened scowl, almost as if he were meditating. Suddenly his minor ears perked and he stared directly at the statue. There was no change in atmosphere, but I could feel Kerr was angry. His hand gripped tightly his knee. I know we're connected. I demand you to remove this stupid curse. I fell silent and looked around in bemusement. He was talking to someone? I could not hear the other half of the conversation. For some reason, that made me even more attentive as I tried to piece everything together. You can't be serious, so I said a few things, but, huh? Yes, I've met one. That's how I found the altar in the first place. The world to watch me and blinking confusing. I was studying me for the first time. I stiffened, wondering why he was staring at me so intensely. Once he finally turned away, I relaxed, although I could not help but feel anxious about the discussion. What about me? Weak, pathetic, gives strange names to animals, doesn't seem to know much about something or how the world works. We should have let him be right there, and then he would never found the altar. I am pretty pissed at this Kerr thing. We're gonna leave. Aurelie, we're gonna leave. We're leaving. Leaving this bastard. Douchebag. I have to end the episode here. See you in the next one. Bye.